The Apple iPhone Air and the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge are both astoundingly thin smartphones packed with tons of tech, but that thinness doesn't come without some trade-offs. Which of these phones is the better option? Even more, do we even want phones like this? And based on recent rumors, maybe not. Despite that, I bet you're curious about them just like I am, and creating this video was a bit of a challenging task as not everything could be understood simply by reviewing a spec sheet. So let's dive in and find out which one is the best fit for you and which one is just the best one overall. Here are the 8 key factors to consider when determining the best ultra-thin smartphone of 2025. One of the biggest reasons why the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge is better than the Apple iPhone Air is its speakers. While the iPhone Air has a single speaker on the earpiece, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge has 2 speakers. This not only allows for a stereo sound when listening to content, providing a more immersive experience, but having 2 speakers also naturally allows for a louder volume based upon the physics of how sound and how it compounds when you add more speakers. Here's a quick comparison to hear the difference between the two in terms of volume level and fullness. One of the primary reasons why the Apple iPhone Air is superior to the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge is its display. This is surprising as a branch of Samsung manufactures displays, which includes some of the displays provided to Apple for the iPhone. And for some reason, Samsung doesn't put their best displays in their own phones. And there are several reasons why the iPhone Air has a notably better display than the Galaxy S25 Edge. The first thing to note is that it utilizes a 10-bit panel or better, which is an improvement over an 8-bit panel found on the S25 Edge, and that allows for the display of more colors. An 8-bit display can only display fewer than 2% of the colors of a 10-bit panel. That 10-bit panel means it won't have ugly banding and chuckiness and gradients, especially amongst colors. The iPhone Air also features Ceramic Shield 2, which is quite impressive as it scratches at a level 7 and deeper grooves at a level 8 on Jerry Rig Everything's test, a whole step higher than the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge. Another thing, the glass on the back of the S25 Edge is kind of scratched up on mine and it won't go away compared to the iPhone Air. Maybe that's the glass that they're using on it. Additionally, it's brighter at 3000 nits over the Edge's 2600 nits. Even better, it also features an anti-glare coating, which Samsung has omitted, which is surprising because the S25 Ultra's anti-glare is significantly better than the iPhone Air. But to be fair, the iPhone Air does have a slightly smaller display by 0.2 inches, but it's well worth the trade-offs in my opinion. A display is a significant part of your experience with a phone, so this is a considerable advantage over the S25 Edge. One thing that makes the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge better than the iPhone Air is its haptics, or the vibration motor. While Apple has typically had some of the best, if not the best haptics on its iPhones, the thin profile on the iPhone Air means it doesn't have as much room for all those components. The one area that they have cut back on is the haptics. While it's still precise, it is subtle and gentle compared to what you get with their normal iPhones. The Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, however, has haptics that feel remarkably similar, if not identical, to those of its larger counterparts, which is extremely surprising based upon the fact that it's so thin. So in terms of haptics, I really have to give it to Samsung. One of the most critical factors of a smartphone is its battery life. With smartphones as thin as the Apple iPhone Air and the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, battery life is understandably a primary concern for many people, including me. While the difference between these two in terms of battery life isn't dramatic, I was able to get an additional hour or so of battery life on the Apple iPhone Air compared to the Galaxy S25 Edge. When the battery life is average to begin with, an extra hour is really nice to have. One thing I didn't expect when comparing the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge to the Apple iPhone Air was the camera results on the Edge. While testing this in Hawaii, I noticed that the primary camera had more detail and quality, especially when using the 2x or higher modes. Since further zoom ranges utilize digital zoom, it really tests the quality of the sensors. When you push it to the extremes, the quality differences become clearly visible. Even more so, the stabilization is far smoother on the Galaxy S25 Edge than the iPhone Air while filming video. Take a look at these samples to see the differences. Okay, now I have the front facing on the Air and ultra wide on the rear of the Edge. See, the stabilization is probably better on the Samsung. Please let me know what you notice and share your thoughts in the comments. Were you as surprised as I was? When I first picked up the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, I was impressed by its thinness, but the novelty wore off pretty quickly. When I picked up the Apple iPhone Air, I was impressed by how it felt in the hand. I wondered why it felt more impressive to me than the Edge when they're not that dramatically different in terms of thickness. Upon closer examination, there are numerous reasons. First, the Galaxy S25 Edge is very blocky. Not only is the design kind of boring because it resembles any of their other phones, just, well, thinner. And that's in comparison to the iPhone Air, which stands out as unique amongst the lineup. But that thickness or that blockiness makes it feel much thicker in the hand. The iPhone Air has this curved edge along the sides. The width of the iPhone Air is also slightly narrower than that of the Edge, making it easier to hold. However, the most significant difference is the corners. On the Edge, the corners dig into your hand, which makes it feel huge. The iPhone Air has a significantly more curved corner to the point where it conforms to the palm of your hand. These things may seem like slight differences, but when you hold them both in your hands, the differences feel dramatic. One of the key differences that cannot be denied is that the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge has more cameras than the Apple iPhone Air. On the back, it has a primary sensor and an ultra-wide sensor. The Apple iPhone Air only has one primary sensor on the back. So technically, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge has more cameras. However, there's an angle that people are not considering. They both have front-facing cameras, and they're not the same. The front-facing camera on the S25 Edge is, fine, I guess. I wouldn't be using it much. The front-facing camera on the iPhone Air is actually excellent. It also features an open gate feature, allowing it to be more wider and work in both portrait and landscape modes. In many ways, you could use this as your ultra-wide camera. So if you're the type who would like to be in your photos more often than not, you could argue that the Air actually has an ultra-wide lens, one that is comparable to the S25 Edge, albeit not as wide. So while I think practically this is a tie, technically the Edge wins for having more cameras, even though I wouldn't be using the Edge's front-facing camera. One of the primary reasons why the Apple iPhone Air is superior to the Galaxy S25 Edge is its price. The Galaxy S25 Edge has a list price of $1,100, whereas the Apple iPhone Air is priced at $999. When you compare the two, it's clear that the S25 Edge is not worth $100 more. As a whole, the Apple iPhone Air isn't as bulky and immense feeling in the hand. It looks better, has a better battery, even has a slightly better cellular connection in my tests. Interesting, it keeps moving between 4G and 5G on both of them, but it seems like the iPhone goes to 5G more often than the Edge. So I'm still sitting at 4G in this area that we had crazy 5G in for the Snapdragon Summit, so that's interesting. A much better front-facing camera that you can use as an ultra-wide camera and is $100 cheaper. All these things add up to quite a bit in an experiential sense, more so than a spec list, which I value greatly. Overall, I prefer the Apple iPhone Air more. Now, something that I also heard from people is that they like to use the iPhone Air like a minimalist phone. Since it's a bit more simplified, they found themselves not doom scrolling as much as they used to on their regular iPhone. Minimalist phones are an interesting segment that's becoming more and more popular, but they usually use e-ink and their interactions are a little bit more clunky. But I can see how someone could think that this is Apple's take on a minimalist phone, but let me know what you think in the comments. Which one do you think is the better phone, the Apple iPhone Air or the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge? Do you even want super thin phones like these? Let me know in the comments. This video was made possible by a review unit provided by Samsung. I purchased the Apple iPhone Air with my own money. Neither Samsung nor Apple have any editorial control or review of this video. This video is supported by viewers like you. Thank you for watching. This is Tech Today. Until next time.